Here's some things you're gonna need for this wash recipe. You're gonna need 5-gallon container, white grape juice concentrate, 10 pounds of sugar. It's cheaper if you can buy 50-pound bags. And you're gonna need yeast. This is a Red Star Pasteur Red. This is made for making red wine. Honestly, any yeast will work. This isn't rocket science. It's not as sensitive as making beer or wine. Like making wash is just pretty much some alcoholic water that we're gonna separate the alcohol from the water. So, but you know, flavor is important, and I have a notebook and I write down what I think tastes good and what I think tastes bad. And turbo yeasts are more expensive, and I don't think they taste as good. But if you only got a day or two, they're great because they're really fast. So use whatever you want. All right, let's start with the water first because it lets the sugar dissolve faster. The recipe I read online says this is a great cheap yeast nutrient. The acids in the white grape juice, the yeast really likes it. So it's cheap. There's a wine additive that costs like 16 bucks. It's pretty much the same thing. So just go to the grocery store, get some white grape juice concentrate for $2 or $3, and there you go. If you're ultra cheap, you can skip this step, but this makes better flavor. Alright, after your funnel's dried out, sugar should pour easier. And if you're using a bucket, you don't need a funnel. It's a lot easier with a bucket. But I think I'm going to add about 10 pounds. This is what I have left over in this bag. I'm not exactly sure, but might be a little less than that. But either way, more sugar, the more alcohol you get. In a general sort of way, it depends on the yeast, because certain yeast can only eat certain amounts of sugar, and any sugar left over will kind of make your distillation a little sweeter, depending on your still. You know, if you got a pot still, it's going to be a lot sweeter than like a reflux still, which is going to strip out most of the flavor. You're going to want to shake this up and get most of the sugar dissolved in the wash to let the yeast eat it, because it's on the bottom. Most of the yeast on this type of yeast will be active on the top. So you want the sugar suspended in the solution. Otherwise you'd be left over with extra sugar. And while this is happening, I should mention that temperature is critical. Temperature may be the most important thing here. So it's a summer day. You can see this thermometer here is reading 70 to 76. These thermometers are pretty, you know, not really accurate, but it's telling me if this was the level was higher, that this would be a perfect temperature to pitch the yeast. If it was down here, I wouldn't do it, and if it's off the scale, too hot, I wouldn't do it either, because it would kill the yeast and make this a big waste of time. Okay, it's time to pitch the yeast. I wish I had a thermometer for this, because it says within 100 to 105 degrees water, and that's really a small range. So hopefully on the little cool side. I'd rather be too cool than kill it being too warm. So I'm gonna put this in this little the juice can that I used earlier, and it's got some sugar in there. And I want to get it started good before I dump it in the big container. Put the cap on a little better there. Alright, wow, it's already blew that off. So. Alright, yeast looks happy. I said to dissolve the yeast, I suppose. Every yeast is different, so read the directions. You can get like bread yeast too, but I think this is better. It's wine yeast.
Yeah.
Now I'll put an airlock on here. This is a real airlock used for beer brewing, but you can use a tube from here into like a little bucket of water. Will be the same thing. So CO2 can come out, the air can't go in to keep it clean. Try to keep this thing around 70 degrees. So yeah, and then wait like 5 or 6 days, at least till it stops bubbling. When it stops bubbling, the yeast has died and it's ready to run through your still. So good luck, hope that helps. Can you see that? That's the yeast making carbon dioxide, and well, let's see, they're making alcohol and pooping out carbon dioxide. There's the airlock. You can actually see carbon dioxide coming out. Water's not letting the air in, but letting the gas out. This took a couple days to start, so I thought I pitched the yeast wrong. I probably could have done that a little better. Didn't have a thermometer, and I wasn't sure if I killed the yeast, but this is the second day after I pitched it, and so it's working.